Good day, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Executive Insights with Shipping and Freight Resource. My name is Harish Manadia, the founder of Shipping and Freight Resource. Today, I'm pleased to have again with us André Simha, CDIO of MSC and Chairman of DCSA. André, welcome back to the show.
Thanks very much, Harish. Good to have another chat since our digital talk in May, I think 24.
Yes. So let's start with the big picture, which is the recent significant strides that DCSA has made in developing or improving on the standards that has already been developed for shipping. From your vantage point, both from a DCSA perspective and from MSC perspective, how would you describe this current level of adoption and where does MSC stand in this?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, it's been an exciting journey, but also a tough one. And today we have the core standards, which are essentially track and trace, vessel schedules, bookings, EBL, that are, I would say, widely adopted. Of course, the supply chain is a very complex ecosystem. But what's interesting, I think, is that the 10 members in DCSA have implemented the same standard version, creating the foundation for an interoperable ecosystem. And that's something which I think is very important. We saw a pretty big increase in the adoption of standards by members from 24 to 25. This is also due to the industry's demand for streamlining and connecting operations. Today, if we look at 2024, if we look back, there's over 200 million API calls per month using DCSA standards. So that's like an 80% increase from the previous year. So for me, it's pretty clear that the digital standardized communication isn't just on the rise, but it's also becoming the new industry norm as we roll out new standards.
Great to hear. That's great to hear. So in one of your posts, you mentioned standards are cool, and especially when they work across platforms and partners. So would you say we are past that buzzword phase and there's a evolving perception of digital standards in our industry? Are people even beginning to understand it?
Yeah, I said standards are cool because in the end they are. Also implementing them at MSC is an exciting process for a lot of people looking at something, moving a little bit away from the old EDI stuff that we've been doing for about 40 years. So in that post, which was well received, I try to highlight the sort of critical role of standards that people don't realize day to day, such as Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, mobile phones, and of course shipping containers that were standardized in the 50s. So you can imagine the chaos if they didn't exist. So I think despite that, the industry still has quite a lot of fragmentation in that respect, and sometimes the value of something is only recognized when it's not there anymore. Let's say you have a power failure, and then all of a sudden nothing works, and you're not connected to the internet anymore. So I think we don't always fully grasp what is missing due to the lack of standards. So to answer your question, yes, I'm convinced we're past the buzzword today, but the journey is still quite long.
Good. So you are of the opinion that DCSA's new partnership program will help with this, will help in accelerating this adoption. What is the vision behind this, and how is it going to work? Can you give us a brief about that?
Sure. Well, the partnership program was an idea at DCSA. It's called DCSA Plus now. And the idea was, in the beginning, we had all the shipping lines. We said, okay, let's all agree between us that this is what we need and this is where we want to go in terms of standards. And now the partnership program wants to go beyond the shipping lines and bring together other key stakeholders of our ecosystem. And of course, the goal is to accelerate the adoption of standards. So By ecosystem, I mean, shippers, freight forwarders, partners, ports, terminals, and we need big players because, when big players become a part of a DCSA Plus, they have access to tools, they have access to insights, they have collaborative opportunities, which I think is key. They will participate in strategic roundtables, hackathons, pioneering groups, and groups that influence the roadmap of DCSA and the development of future standards. So I think this is it's all about making meaningful connections, engaging industry leaders, and identifying synergies and actionable solutions that will help us by collaborating and providing guidance also to the carrier world. And I believe that with that, it will help us to really promote the standards and get adoption, because a standard without adoption is not really a standard, is it?
Absolutely. And talking about adoption, we've been around with the EBL situation for a while now. How's MSC's status now? I know MSC has been active quite a bit on the EBL side, and has it been scaled and resulting in some operational rollouts, and is it widespread now?
Yeah, that's a key question, actually. Well, our EBL journey continues based on the joint goal with the other carriers of 100% EBL by 2030. Obviously, we're already in 2025, so we still have some work to do. But I think, key to all this is that it's not an isolated effort. So even if MSC was up to 50%, which is, not the case today, and I'm talking about original bills of lading, not Seaway bills.
Yeah.
But even if we were at 50%, it's a collaborative effort. If we want to become paperless, and not only for the EBL, but also for all types of documents. And for that, we need everybody to participate. So it's a long road. It's a road with a lot of pilots, a lot of proof of concepts, and we're very happy to spend time to put resources and contribute to these initiatives involving, customers, involving banks, some of who are obviously the crucial links to all the chain. And I think that in terms of learnings, again, it's about collaboration. It's about reaching interoperability, because otherwise, we'll be stuck, each customer or each carrier with their own solution, which also means that the business models of the current EBL vendors or providers has to evolve. And by that, I mean, they also have to find ways of making revenue, not only on the back of inefficiencies. And I think that's a key thing. So interoperability and trying to harmonize, let's say, the business models.
Speaking about regulators and EBLs, is there any work being done in terms of the MLETR compliance in MSC? And have you seen any impact at the policy level, for example?
Well, I think MLETR, where it's being adopted, I think is a great move forward, which covers, of course, a lot of the world of digitization and digital trade. So we recently partnered with UNCITRAL, the United Nations Commission on International Trade Law, a difficult one to remember, and they're a core legal body of the United Nations. So they're focusing on harmonizing and modernizing international trade law, and that's extremely important. Recently, we were in Rome in March. One of my team members was there talking about electronic transferable records, global trends, and also the Italian perspective. So they created this event to raise awareness of MLETR in Italy and also encourage legislative reform. And so we follow this with a lot of interest. Again, we are only actors in that, and we're very happy to contribute. Many countries have these conversations, and where we can, we try to bring the voice of the shipping line and of the bill of lading issuer.
Now let's briefly talk about innovation for a minute. I've seen a lot of new features MSC has launched. There's iRefer which is part of your My MSC platform, I believe. What is the response that you're seeing from customers on this?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, if we look at what we're doing today, we have to be honest. It is not transformative innovation, but it is something that is in our group values, and we talk about continuous evolution. We look at new technologies to help us enhance the solutions we offer, mostly to customers, but also internally and to our operations. So what we try to do is look at the customer digital journey and our journey, of course, switching from very time-consuming offline activities to digitizing documents, processes, and that's something which, in my view, makes or will make shipping more efficient, more reliable, more cost-effective, more transparent, which is what a lot of customers are asking for, and of course, more secure. So if you look at the roadmap, without giving you specific products, we're basing it really on the customer digital journey, on their demands, with the goal to simplify the journey, increase efficiency, and allow all the parties to focus on what really counts. And of course, going digital, but we want to keep our personal touch, which is, of course, one of the key factors that MSC offers.
But as you also very well know, change is never easy, and especially in our industry where things have been the same way for centuries, if not years and decades. So, is there any secret to overcoming resistance to change, especially in an intangible area like digitalization?
Yeah, well, it's a complicated question. I think I wrote a couple of blogs on that, and I think there's a lot of things that need to happen. Of course, people is key. If we can't explain the strategic vision, which has to come from the top, by the way, we need to be able to explain that to people. We need to explain why we're doing certain things, why we need digital transformation, for example, and I think and make sure that everybody understands why we're doing that, and that's, I think, the human and cultural aspects, which we've discussed before, are extremely important to make that happen. Then I think it's also about not doing things in isolation. Like we said before, you need the collaboration with all the different actors, the carriers, the agencies, the ports. And I think that is also part of the success. It's got to be an industry-wide approach. It cannot be an MSC approach or another carrier approach. And then I think also one of the things that we sometimes tend to forget is we have to focus on the end result, not just on the tech. If you get caught up in blockchain, AI, and this is all very interesting, and a lot of companies are investing in these solutions, but the question really is, that tech has to serve a clear, beneficial purpose. So what I say is it should always be about finding tech for the use case and not a use case for the tech. So that's in my opinion, where we have to focus, and of course, including the people in these projects, the customers, internal teams, business partners, to try to make operations easier and more efficient. And I think the human element is probably the most important one. I think you mentioned to me
It's a very sensible and practical approach, André. And finally, being a veteran in the paper world, in the operations, and in digitalization now, what is one thing that you can advise people who are beginning their digital journey?
Well, I think I said it before, but in longer terms, first of all, be open. Be open to be open to learn about technology, but also understand your processes. Always try to improve your process. Try to give people the time to do things that matter. I think in our previous video you mentioned we mentioned the fright or the way people are, artificial intelligence taking over their jobs. I was born in the 60s, and when I was a child, we thought the world would be ruled by robots, and for the moment, it still isn't. So I think making sure your strategy is top down. Don't forget the why. Collaborate as much as you can with your peers. Focus on the end result, not the tech. And remember that it's the people who use the tech and the solutions. It's not the other way around. And so I think with a collaborative approach, with a people first mentality, it should be possible to move forward, even with the veterans, as you call me. We still have to keep moving and keep on making this industry more and more exciting and efficient.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, and I would also add people like you and me. We are, I think, prime examples of how it has been implemented or how we have adapted to technology. And without that, it is not going to work. But Andre, thank you again for your time. I know you're a very busy man, and appreciate having you on the show always. And thank you for all the insights that you share and the information that you provide, both from a DCSA perspective, MSc perspective, and your own perspective. It's always appreciated, and looking forward to hearing more from you.
Well, thanks very much, Harish, and please keep on writing all those cool blogs that I email my colleagues every week. I have a Friday email where I always mention your blogs. I think that sharing that experience is invaluable. So thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
You too.